Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B. And joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk from Jack Eclipse Campaigning. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I can almost talk. I'm an adult.
Words are hard.
Hey, did you get those IKEA cases you were talking about? What do you buying?
No, I didn't. So I bought some cases. I created a poll. And I said, what's the over-under on adulting points for spending $500 on really nice cabinets, but only using them to store plastic toy soldiers?
I mean,
I'd say
I could turn the camera and show you what's in my corner.
Yeah. I mean, like I have the one behind me. That's like a display case, right? These are like actual cabinets because I figure that like at some point I'll need real people furniture. And also I have cats, so I can't do open shelves like you because apparently your cats are very well behaved and mine are assholes.
I have the
no way shelves would work.
So you got to get the Lawbringer. That's just a little squirt bottle, and they learn pretty quick where they're supposed to be. Not there.
I also need a room purely for my office that I can just be like, you guys are never going to go in here. Won't be a problem.
That's smart too.
Rob doesn't have one of those.
I mean, if I wanted to, I could just have my bed in the living room like a weirdo and then have my bedroom as my office.
No, that's not weird.
That's not weird. Rob has totally never done that.
It's a little, I'm a little bit past that.
You do have to, like even the IKEA cases, you do have to like, I have a canned air, you know, you just kind of spritz it in there. I would say once a year, I probably pull everything out and wipe down the glass, but the models I hit with canned air, I'd say like once a month. But
I just throw models inside of a cabinet and just forget they're there for months at a time.
And then it works out for you. It's only crazy if it doesn't work, guys. It's only crazy.
I don't own that many models. Like that's the real problem here.
Yeah.
I'm not a collector and I'm not a hoarder. I don't give a shit. Like, I just like to paint them and have them look pretty and then be my army for a little while and then set them free.
Yep. And everybody loves the Kenny army.
I'm a little bit the same way. I don't like the idea of armies sitting in my closet ad infinitum, drawing dust. You know, I'd rather give them to somebody who would play with them and get joy out of them. So I have my like 2 collections that are what I hold on to. And then everything else, I'm just kind of like,
I am the exact opposite of you two.
Haspil is the exact opposite. He is a collector.
You know, like that mysterious place called Area 51. That's just storage space that Mike rents out for all his shit.
Yep.
That's why you're not allowed to go in there. He doesn't want you to touch it.
When Professor Jones needed a place to stash the Ark, I told him he could put it with my Space Wolves.
There you go.
That's what you're seeing at the end of the movie.
I mean, it's been about that long since you've used them, right?
It's been a while. I don't. The last time I played my Space Wolves was 7th. Yeah, they haven't seen the table in 8th at all. And I pared down at one point. I think I could field not a huge force, but I think I could field 1,500 points of like 18 different forces.
Oh yeah. Then you went through like an eBay phase, and then you dumped a bunch of stuff.
I purged all my armies that were not Imperium. Except for Necrons. And that's all I have is for Xenos is Necrons. But I had Nids at a point. I had Orcs even. I don't even think I ever played my Orcs. I played Chaos exactly one time.
I got you to do it. That was you did that one for eBay. You painted up a bunch of your stuff.
Yeah. It was a cool army too. It was really cool.
That was awesome. Fucking badass. But oh my God, so much has happened. Last week we mentioned how thankful we were to GW for dropping all that cool stuff before our podcast and not after our podcast. And then they dropped all that cool stuff after our podcast again. So There's like
after we made wild tinfoil hat speculations, they immediately slapped us down with the clarifications to all of that the next day. Thanks, guys.
God damn it. You know, which we do go into great detail at the end of the show. We go through a week's worth of drops, and we have an amazing discussion, kind of about competitive play, kind of an organic discussion kind of cropped up in our pregame show. That was pretty awesome. So that's, you look forward to that. We also comment to the table gate. But before we start our show, as is always our tradition, Wyatt.
Got you, dog. Would you rather speak in rhyme for the rest of your life or have to sing everything you say for the rest of your life?
That's easy. Rhyme.
I feel like this appeals to a certain style of person because I can't sing, so that'd be terrible. But I feel like I could rhyme.
Yeah.
It'd probably be smarter too because like I would slow down and not say as much dumb shit because I have a tendency to just say dumb shit sometimes.
Okay, so I have to ask the genie though, because you got to know if this is gameable in any way. Sometimes he lets us game it, Rob.
Oh, that's true.
When I write, do I write normal?
That is a hard one because I feel like you would try to just get out of ever speaking again.
Is this communication?
You got to rhyme. Yeah, you got to rhyme.
I would have to say all forms of communication because then you would just be like, well, I'm just never going to speak again.
Yep.
So, but how does that work if I pick the singing option?
You also have to write the music.
The notation.
Do I innately now know how to write music?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Magic. It's just like I innately just make things rhyme.
Yeah. Rhyme. And then
Wow.
I just dodge and dip between being a rapper and being a lyrical poet. So I would just put out like, here's my 6-volume set about vampires and mummies written as the Iliad. Where everything rhymes, and people would think like, "Oh my God, give this guy a Pulitzer!" It's unbelievable.
I was going to go with you on that.
Patrick rhymes everything he says. He's a badass.
I mean, we would basically be the new Wu-Tang Clan if we all pick rhyme.
I mean, if you hate Spiky Bits now, like imagine if everything rhymed.
Yeah, and then all we did
imagine
on the
how big
podcast,
your vocabulary would grow, though.
It's true.
I mean, but our podcast would essentially be a weekly like rap battle about Warhammer 40K because we are going to be trying to disagree with each other, try to convince each other of our points. It would just be a fucking rap battle. Like it would be the best fucking show on the internet if we all universally went with rhyme.
Yep.
So I'll pick rhyme as well.
Great choices to modulate our voices.
So it begins. Spoiler alert. The rest of the podcast isn't like this. Sorry, y'all.
This would get, but as with all Would You Rathers, this would, as usual, has the most amount of impact in my intimate times with my lady as usual. Thank you, Wyatt. We would never be romantic again unless I go to pure poetry when I'm talking. Oh, wait, hold on. This actually might be an exception.
Yeah, see, I was about to be like, whoa, hold on.
Ooh.
Game changer.
You might have actually improved my life for once, Dijin.
I mean, like Gaston sings a lot. All the ladies love him, right?
Yeah. Except the one that the movie was about.
I don't remember that part.
got a little aggressive. Rob, is there anything spicy that happened over the week that maybe you want to talk about or we want to talk about that may have been on a Reddit post or anything like that?
I feel like I'm missing something.
You didn't see that Reddit post that might have been a screen cap of a Discord?
I don't want to talk about that.
I was asking in a way that you could decide if you wanted to talk about it.
I will talk about something else that happened. GW put out that statement, right? That was like, hey, our hobby is going to be more diverse and whatnot. And
the rulebook intro.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was super dope about it. And I saw no one comment about that. It basically ended by saying, and if you're not part of this, like you will not be missed.
The universe is a big place. And when you're gone, you will not be missed.
You will not be missed. And I was just like, oh, that is so dope. And the reason is because back in the day, that was the intro to the rule book. It was,
I think it was
like
fourth edition, wasn't it? Or third, one of the two.
One of the two, but
Yeah.
it said something along the lines like, forget the promise of technology, forget this, forget that. All you have to look forward to is war and the laughter of thirsting gods. And the one thing that is for sure is that the universe is big and you will not be missed. So I was just like, they were definitely going back for that vibe. And it was like a cool little Easter egg that they threw in this, kind of, hey, we're standing with people comment. So I thought that was pretty cool. Wanted to shout that out.
Yeah,
So
I think a lot of people saw a lot of things over the past week or so. And obviously there's a lot of diarrhea content creators out there. And that's all we have to say. You know who they are.
I mean, there's a lot of
You mean
people out
Reddit
there.
posts with a screenshot of Discord?
With a guy that talks funny. Even, I mean, and I don't mean that he talks funny for like a Brit. I mean that.
Oh, he's not British.
For a Brit, he talks like ass.
He's Swedish.
we set our
he's
part.
not? Okay, I take that back then.
We set our part 2 years ago when we were like, hey, stop bullying people. And we're going to have to police the tournament scene. We're going to have to police a lot of things. And mere months later, that's what started happening because it started to get toxic and it started to get bad. And, and we're just not going to give any airtime to that diarrhea. And it's just not.
Yeah, we've already went to battle. We're still in that battle. We're still fighting that battle. And if anybody views that new intro cover page that GW put out as anything but a vastly positive and an amazing sentiment from a company that may or may not give a shit on the same level you do about things, the fact that they're saying that's a positive day.
They're being part of the solution.
That's fucking awesome. And I did catch that Easter egg, and I will expose my trolling. Last week I made Mike mad because I trolled him in such a way after the show that it's not in the final podcast where he's like, I don't know if we can fucking be friends anymore. It was when I talked about phasers.
Oh, yeah. That.
So I was like, oh, phasers on Haspil. Do phasers go to kill? And he was like, I am so mad I have to answer this question for you right now that we might not be able to be. And so I'm not going to troll you. That was one of my favorite intros to any GW piece of writing of all time. And it did also make me happy to catch that.
Yeah, it was a really cool little Easter egg. I was like, hey, made me smile as like someone who's been playing for a while.
I think it was all good stuff, but let's talk about some new releases. Get our mind off things. So we've got 40K for next week. So they did AI will hit stores this week, and a lot of stuff still delayed. A lot of Engine War didn't get to a lot of stores this weekend. If that's just it. It's just slow to get stuff out. Everything's moving slow right now, so it might be the case. Hopefully, it's all straightened out for 8th or for 9th edition. Who knows? But just keep that in mind. Be as patient as you can because everything's different in every part of the state and every country. I think 2 days ago I checked, and the U.S.-Canada border is actually still closed. Like you can't cross over into Canada from the U.S.
In fact, one of my close friends out here, him and his partner got separated because of work. Because through this whole thing, Canada and America was able to sneak through by way of New Zealand. And then now they're having to go back to New Zealand to go back to Canada where they live.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah, so it's a
long way around.
Obviously, it's just that's a fact. Like, and so also apologies to any of my Canadian people who are waiting on swag bags. I'm gonna get that out to you.
Yes,
ASAP.
things are slow in the mail right now. So, but please, we're all in this together, right? So coming out next week, Chaos Space Marine Fabius Bile, $40. I feel like this is a respectable GW price for 2 models. I kind of expected it to be more, to be honest, but it's $40. War of the Spider book for $40 as well. The Blackstone Fortress expansion with the Zote in it is $60. Nothing new there. That was the thing that's supposed to come out before the shutdown. And the Fabius Bile Manflayer hardback book for $27 will be out next week as well. I would say there's a good possibility that we might see an announcement after the 40K box set preview that it will go on sale on the 20th for pre-order, and then there'll probably be a 2-week pre-order period. I would imagine that Pariah would come out after 9th edition, would be the first like kind of transition into the new scheme of things, sort of, so to speak.
That is the last Psychic Awakening book too, right?
That we know of.
That we know of. Okay.
That we know.
Okay.
Haven't seen another one hit the port. So, but they're getting better at hiding things.
Hiding stuff. Yeah. There's going to be like, 3 tons of pop rocks. That's all it's going to say in the future. It's tough to read between the lines, and you can see things that you think is a different thing, and you're like, wait a minute. And they got the 9th edition through by codenaming it, which was genius. Yeah.
No hate there. That was well played.
Did you you saw the box art, right? That they revealed. So I don't know if anybody's following. I'm sure some people are following Primaris Lieutenant on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There were some choice comments on there where he's commenting on the box art and going, "Oh, all these Necrons are like, they're tiny. Like they're not even a real threat because the Primaris, on the box art, the Primaris guy is gigantic.
Yeah, he's huge.
And all the Necrons are in the foreground. And so he's like, well, they're all tiny. Like that's unfortunate that they're super tiny and immortal, but I can take them all." So it was pretty classic. I thought it was funny.
He's not wrong. So that's everything that's coming out on the GW front for pre-orders, of course, and there'll be a big preview on Saturday. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about it next week as well. You might have heard that there's supposedly been some emails going out to folks that they might have gotten 2 of the Bandai action figures and that GW wants it back.
I think I might be affected by this because everybody in my local area who ordered one has gotten theirs and I haven't.
Oh man.
And GW did send me an email a few weeks ago that was like, "Hey, our those are going to be stored for a while. So do you want us to send it to your house?" And I was like, "Yeah, here's my mailing address." And they're like, "Cool, we'll get it done." And then it has not shown up. So
yeah, that sucks because Bandai only made a set number, right? They're not extras.
Yeah.
That's what the email basically said.
Oh,
as much as we love to just say you can keep it, we're going to need it back. And then, I guess
that
you get
sucks, man.
A FedEx tag or something. I don't know quite yet, but
I mean, if they come out and they're like, "Yeah, we can't," I'll just be like, "Cool, give me my money." And my bag. I think the only way I would really get upset is if they were like, "No, we're keeping the money."
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't think they would do that either. That's really bad PR stuff.
It kind of remains to be seen what the resolution is going to be, but I don't know. I mean, I'll send you my extra one.
You have an extra one? You didn't even tell me?
Well, it's not extra. They want it back, silly.
If I don't get one, then yes.
I came in and I was like, "What is this?" And then I just kind of put it in a pile. I was like, well, they'll figure it out, or I'll call them next time I'm out driving because I'm not going to wait on the phone an hour to talk to GW.
I mean, well, they do continually kind of fuck us week to week on the information cycle. So I don't feel so bad if you just want to send that to me. I'll take it.
I'm on a list somewhere that I got to send it back. So I'm going to send it back if they send me the tag for it. But it is, I'm sure some people won't.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Do the right thing. Send it back. We all, if you got an extra one, as cool as it would be to have that extra one, send it back. But I mean, somebody else is not getting theirs. So
yeah, it is kind of lame. But we're
not talking about an Amazon mistake. We're talking about a limited quantity of awesome.
Yeah. But there was a good 3 days in there where they didn't notify anybody. So I don't know. Some people might have opened them.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Because honestly, mine, I haven't opened mine because frankly, I'm chicken. And so, but if I got another one in the mail right now, one of those is getting opened. So I totally.
Yeah. I think that's probably the main reason that nobody is going to send these back is because immediately they're just going to open it up and play with it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they kept it sealed, they're like, "Oh, cool, I got one to play with." I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I would have opened the first one and play with it anyway. So
I mean, I was going to with mine, but
I would have, except they announced the McFarlane figures.
Yeah.
And as soon as they did that, I was like, well, the McFarlane figures can gather dust just as well as a Bandai Marine. And they're $20. So
which we haven't quite seen the Intercessor yet with the bolt rifle. Still waiting on that one to go on pre-order. But the rest are on Amazon right now for pre-order.
Yep.
is the Intercessor with bolt rifle the one that's unpainted?
Unpainted,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was also a painted version too. So I think there's technically 4 figures, but they didn't really say that.
Yeah, because the one I put an order in with Amazon is for the sword boy.
Yeah, the sergeant guy.
And I mean, I'll probably still
I
paint
check
it.
like every day on McFarlane's site. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm going to make like kill teams out of those with a bunch of Necrons. It'll be like, and the sad part is it'll be about the same price as they would be in miniatures.
I would put like money on next year at Adepticon, like somebody having a table or a little event where it's like Kill Team, but with the McFarlane action figures.
That would honestly, that'd be great. I think that would be awesome.
I mean, they do it with Titans every year where they play on those like kiddie mats that look like a little cartoon town.
Yeah.
They have like full-size Titans playing Titanicus.
I've seen Rob play that.
Yeah. I definitely don't, that's not something you would do routinely, but for a con, that's great because it's going to get everybody jumping around and you can see what's happening. And especially if you've got like younger players there, some kids and stuff, eat that up.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for the price.
I mean, I saw Rob, a grown-ass 75-year-old man, crawling around playing with his full-size Titans in an Apocalypse game at Adepticon on those, like, playroom mats and his socks with a bunch of other grown-ass men. Like, you're right. It was hype. There were so many people around and taking pictures. It was preposterous.
Yeah, it's fun. Oversized. Because they used to do it at... They used to do it. Remember the old, I'm trying to remember the name of it was an Aliens tabletop game. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? It was like leading edge games made. I think that's what this is going back a ways, man. But it was an Aliens game. Like it was Aliens with Vasquez and Drake, Hicks, all that stuff. And there were people that used to play that at a con with McFarlane figures.
Oh, wow.
And normally it's, it's a little tiny miniatures game, but it's out there. If you look for it, there's a Flash version of it too. That's basically the exact game. So you guys now have homework. You can go find that Flash game, Aliens tabletop leading edge. I think that's who made it. Go play it. Go lose horribly.
Well, I don't have any video game news, but I do have a few Kickstarters. Yeah, Kickstarters that are happening. Supposedly, there's going to be a really nifty LED Kickstarter popping off here soon. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know how public it is, but the project looks good. We haven't seen a good LED product for our 40K models in a long time. Wow. Something that's just easy to open up and boop. They also have STL files that you can print in clear resin. Like if you want to do your volcano cannon lance from your knight, just casting clear resin with your 3D printer, and then you use this kit and boom, it's lit up. Wow. Pretty sweet. Headlights, sexy. Everything.
Necrons.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what all they're going to come out with offering wise, but the stuff that they showed me looked pretty fresh. So nice. I'm stoked. Can't wait to see the previews for that and that opening up here in the near future. I know we talked about Acid House Train, which is that portable gaming train in a box that's it's cardstock, but it's laminated. It's basically water resistant, super fresh. It's almost fully funded and it's only been up for like 2 days, I think. But the interesting thing about the sizes is it's perfect for 40K now. So it's almost like it was ahead of the curve, which is really neat to see. Definitely check it out. I think it's a very good product. I think it has like leg room.
What was the name of that again?
Acid House Terrain.
Oh, I got to write that down.
And it's pretty cool stuff. The way you pop all the stuff together and it folds up, collapses, and you just put it away in your box. And then the other Kickstarter that I've been talking about a lot is the Armies of the Old Age, which is basically non-Bretonians. You can basically get a whole army of not Bretonians for like $60. All the files and print them out yourself, and they're all sockets. So, if you want your duders to have swords instead of the lances, they look like the old models. They're very, very similar, but I feel like their take on it is a lot more, I would say utilitarian, but also a little bit more fresher and with the times, which is really sweet. And I hope they hit all their pledge goals there. And I think the only other thing I was going to talk about, which we'll probably talk more about in the show, is that GW terrain offerings that we saw hit the port. So we'll probably see, coinciding with the release of 9th edition, those Killzone box sets with the modular terrain boards that are now.
Tablegate was brought up, and it will come later. Because you guys know we record this out of order, COVID-19. Oh, yes. Rob,
we're only going to be able to blame that for so long.
I like this format. I like knowing that we already did it, and
yeah, I kind of dig this format.
It's kind of fun,
it works.
Yeah, but I agree. I'm not hating it. I mean, I like being done early. Wednesdays. I think we all have a long Wednesday. So. Oh
yeah, for sure. I have a couple things. Word. One exciting thing is interacting with a lot of sponsors I interact with via my Twitch show has been obviously difficult during these times. Mm-hmm. And we try to always onboard. That's what I always talk with my sponsors about. I was like, let's onboard a GW promo. You know what I'm saying? And we try to do it with orcs. Like I was like, Gazgol, let's get some fucking orcs in here. And months ago, I talked to Mantic and Spellcrow, two people I love to work with and whose models I love. Mantic obviously really upgraded after the Hellboy Kickstarter, and Spellcrow's always got some fresh ass blisters and add-ons. I was like, bro, Death Guard's gonna be serious, man. Like we need to get something. And after talking about it and figuring it all out, those boxes just showed up literally both together today. After like trying to coordinate this internationally, and all the Death Guard shit just dropped. I've got a box. If you guys don't know about Spellcrow and you maybe want to try some Death Guard shenanigans that's coming out, they have this incredible range of totally not Death Guard. Like I'm talking all the arms, all the backpacks, all the feet, all the heads, all the guns. Literally, you can make your own guy from scratch. And totally not Obliterators, totally not Demon Princess, totally not Typhus. Definitely gonna be painting some of these. And I got 100 zombies from Mantic.
Ooh, those are going to come in clutch here in the near future.
Now I'm seeing zombies rising from the ground, 9 inches off a board edge, perhaps. So I wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know there's lots of companies out there putting down sick models if you're trying to jump in. Also, this is exciting news. I don't know if I didn't tell Rob yet, but I told Wyatt earlier. A broken alliance now reforged in my sponsorship lineup. After years, there's a company that we love that has seemingly been in flux. Something going on behind the scenes that we just don't know the facts about. That we always like, man, I really wish I could still get those paints. Man, really hasn't been a lot of news out of this company. And then they recently had a big, pretty fucking cool Kickstarter. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Well, I reached out to Privateer Press because of the Warcaster Kickstarter. Those models look sick, and we've speculated for all this years, honestly, about like what's been going on with them. And yet again, I have a new person I'm interacting with in their marketing department for the 6th time. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to get some of those minis. And he started asking me some questions like, hey, have you ever used P3 paints? Maybe I want to see some paints too. Like, yeah, you ever tried some of our women? I was like, I will reintroduce myself, and I love your fucking shit. Love all your fucking paints. Here are all the painting tutorials I've ever done with Iosin green and Necrotite green. My favorite green of all fucking time. So I showed him a bunch of pictures, and my dude was like, okay, got it. Yep, let's do this thing. And so I have a box of P3 paints finally, after all this time, coming to the Beats Lab with fucking Warcaster models and shit. And I'm so fucking stoked to get, because I love the aesthetics of their designs and their Monster Apocalypse and the Warcaster models, and just like a Warjack. That's one of my favorite fucking models, you know? I don't even play that game. I just love those dudes and their paints. So I'm very hype on that. We're going to start using that shit as soon as that box shows up. It's supposed to be here like in an hour, according to tracking. So I know.
Yeah, the Warcastle looks fresh.
I'm so excited about it. And I don't typically get this fucking hype on just like a model that I'm never going to fucking play with, because it's just when you find a passion, you got to fucking jump on it and you got to just seal it up. So I just want to let everyone know. Privateer Press, they're back. And that successful Kickstarter probably has something to do with it.
Nice.
Dope.
And they also go into solicitation in August. So you'll see them at, I think there's 30 SKUs that'll be on store shelves in August.
They're already they're in pre-order on Miniature Market right now.
Yeah, I think it's 3 starter sets and like 27 different models.
Yeah, bunch of characters and cool. I mean, I ordered a faction starter and like a combat engineer and power armor. It looks really dope.
I think we have a discount code if you want to get them off Miniature Market. You get an extra
I already paid for it. This was like 3 weeks ago.
Oops.
In the future, though, I will definitely snatch that up.
Sometimes I can't wait 5 minutes to get the code from you, Rob, and I need it. I need to, and even though I don't physically have it yet, I need to know I have purchased it. Can't wait.
I feel you.
Can't wait.
Actually, a cool little announcement if we're doing personal announcements. If you guys like D&D, we're actually, some friends and I are doing a D&D channel here on Twitch. It's called Turbo Nerds. Turbo Nerds D&D, all one word, here on Twitch. And we do it every Thursday. So we did our first little starter introductory test session last week. And we're going to be back again tomorrow. And the plan is to do a live D&D session for a couple hours every Thursday at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time.
Nice. Cool.
Wyatt, you just reminded me. Guys, I forgot. I got the PSD file from Kalini from our D&D game.
You did?
I have that, and I forgot about it. I'm going to take in my Paralegal pad, and I'm writing down...
the one with all our characters?
Yes.
I want to put it up on the... Can you do some stream magic and show everybody?
Oh, yeah. Actually, look. Yeah. Do you guys' thing. Haspil, give me a personal note while I do this.
I don't have one. I'm busy. Crazy busy. That's it. I don't have anything I can announce or talk about. There are things in the works, but I can't talk about them and it's not because I'm like, it would be great if I said, because I'm under NDA. It's not. It's because I will talk about it and jinx it, and it won't come to pass.
Dang.
There's a Haitian term that we use called met bouche, which means like to put a mouth on it or to put words on it, and you don't want to met bouche on good things because that draws attention to them, and then the powers that be will make sure that shit never comes to pass. That is the short version of the story of my life. So
your family also has turned the name Haspil into a greater meaning, right? You once told me like getting haspiled means
getting haspiled. Yeah, my brother and I use that as a verb. Like you get haspiled. That usually means you got.
I know what Haspil's talking about, and I'm sending good vibes. I'm excited for it.
It's usually never anything horrible. Right. It's not like something terrible. It's just whatever you wanted to happen is not going to come to pass. So.
Well, I know the thing you're talking about as well, and I'm pretty stoked on it.
Yeah.
I do have that picture queued up. Wow. It's you guys can't see it, but everyone else
can. I can't see it.
Well, this is bullshit.
It'll show up on Twitch in a second if you just go to Twitch.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go to Twitch.
That's the D&D campaign. The big Rick energy that we did, and you can see all of the characters for that campaign.
I'm getting an ad.
He did a really good job of making Kenny's dragon look like Shadowjacker.
Yep.
I'm getting an ad. I cannot see it.
Oh, there we go.
And it's an ad for PlayStation, no less. Like PC. Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's truly awesome, and I will. I just made a note, and I will put it on the Long War swag shop.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So you guys can snag it up if you guys are interested. But that is pretty big news. Shout out to Kalini. My man
he's talented.
Oh, he is a
he's
gangster,
good.
bro.
Wow.
I mean, I paid him to do my realistic Next Level Penny logo. Like he's fucking really good.
And the Legman and Wheels t-shirt.
And the Legman and Wheels t-shirt available.
Oh, you did that one too?
Oh.
That's what's up.
Wyatt, do you know, can you find his exact link to his Twitch channel just so for everyone who's live?
It's Kalini, but yeah. I will do that in the chat.
Thank you. And so yeah, anybody doesn't know this guy, he's a content creator on Twitch. He also does 40K models like crazy, but sometimes he does digital art and he's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Did you just say?
I said I'm still jacking around with stuff, trying to get things situated.
Just jacking it. That's
just hanging out.
Charging those crystals.
Hanging out with the mammoths.
3 minute. Oh, I see.
All right, let me bring up my.
We're here.
Chats.
9th edition. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of I like the drip drop of information, but I don't know. Like it's hard for everything I've seen. I've been excited about for sure.
Yes, for sure. The thing I don't like is when they're clarifying stuff, they still intentionally leave things out, so it's not a full clarification, which I find really frustrating.
Yeah, that was the comment I was going to make. Is it's really hard for me to get as into it as I feel like they want me to be, because I know that everything they're saying is taken out of context. And I know that sometimes CW's like, well, yeah, and they'll say something, but it isn't wrong, but it isn't necessarily exactly what they're saying. So I'm just like, I don't know if I want to get so excited and then just get let down again. But overall, I think everything they put out is good.
I'll give you a piece of advice that always works 100% of the time. Celebrate every victory. Never think about those times that you were let down and let that throttle your level of excitement for anything.
I can't ride that roller coaster no more.
Yeah, but then you're perpetually doing the opposite then.
I'm
not authorizing yourself to be excited.
Like I used to be so hype on like every tidbit of information and every rumor, and now I'm just like, I don't fucking care.
But when I get the book in my hand and I read it, it's gonna be dope, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for, is because like I'm allowing myself to feel optimistic and try to stay objective as possible. But we're Jon Snow until this book comes out. Like we know nothing.
I was like, what? Dumb looking, kind of short, like can't make up his mind about things. Oh, he doesn't know shit. Got it. Trying to figure out where you're going with that.
I mean, I was about to say like, yeah, but he like hooked up with a queen, and then I remembered who that queen was, and I was like, ew.
Yeah, hooked up with his own blood. Good job, buddy.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, I feel like every good franchise that happens at some point.
I mean, I think we can all agree that Tormund Giant Slayer, he survived, so he was my boy, and I won Game of Thrones, so I'm happy. Everything else, I don't care about. My boy, he got to live, he got to go, retire in the North with all the ladies, and I won Game of Thrones.
He didn't brutally get just murdered like half the people.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't get his Brienne of Tarth, sadly, but I think he'll find happiness.
Pro tip: don't say you just shit your pants when you're trying to hook up with a girl.
Yeah. Did I ever show you? I have a
bring up
t-shirt.
the Twitch chat for some reason.
Oh, you have to click on the new banner page. You have to click like watch live now with X number of other viewers.
What?
Yeah, they changed. They rolled some new shit out.
It's a new thing.
Oh no.
Okay, so I'm on watch live now with viewers. I clicked on it. Still no chat. Okay. I see live now. Long War TV is streaming Warhammer. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Both of you are in territory that I am.
No Twitch chat for you guys. Sorry.
Are you able to get the restream or?
No, that never works. That never works. I don't even bother to try anymore. So yeah, so we can't chat with people. That's awesome. I mean, way to go, Twitch.
No, I mean, I see chat.
Well, then what did you guys do? I'm sorry if I'm being curt right now, but my patience level is at fucking -0.
Oh, bro, I was at the DMV earlier today. I get you. Let me go back and I'll see if I can redo,
because I can get to the channel. Okay. I can see the channel.
Okay, yeah. So like, there's a box that says like watch now with 47 viewers, and then the chat just like slides over and it's just there. I don't know what else to do.
Click on it and it just shows me, oh wait, you're saying it slides over.
Yeah.
Aha, I have it.
Yeah, there you go. It did the old electric slide. Interface.
It was hiding the chat.
Oh man, Don Quixote Punch just gifted 5 subs to people.
That's such a good name.
What a baller. Thank you so much.
Shout out. Much love, homie.
Huh, I wonder why that didn't come through on the
such a good name.
Chat.
Much love. Wait, what channel did he sub to? Maybe he didn't sub to Long War.
It was Long War TV.
Is that coming up in chat? Yeah, I don't know. It didn't come up in the alerts. Weird.
Maybe there's some shit changed.
I don't know.
Yeah. Updates for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it probably means I need to back to the drawing board. Shout out to the chat. What's up, guys? We're back. COVID-19 streaming and 9th edition. Or 9th edition rules. Clarifications. Where was I? Zen rule. My theory, GW knows they need to teach their player base these rules one rule at a time.
I mean, you're not wrong. There is a very bad habit in the community of people who choose to not actually read the rules, even though there's only 8 pages of them, and choose to fumble fuck their way through learning the new edition of the game through watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts or these little tidbits. And then, 6 months to a year later in the edition where it's like, dog, you still don't even know how like fly works. What's wrong? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's one thing that's kind of a pet peeve of mine when I'm playing somebody and they still like 2 years, 3 years into 8th edition don't understand core mechanics of the game because they never actually
read them.
Took 10 minutes to read the rule book.
That's me. So this negative under the AP thing, what does that mean again?
Yeah.
Wait. So I don't get a 3-up save? What happened? Oh yeah. Also, fumble fuck is a technical term. So
yeah, I mean that's.
Rappe says, I think we're all stoked for the new edition, but I was thinking today, sure, we have terrain rules in 8th, but I rarely see anyone who knows these rules. Is it reasonable to fear that the new terrain rules could amount to an additional page turning bloat in 9th edition? And I believe they did address that in the Q&A, didn't they?
Yeah. It says something about it's going to be levels.
They said it's their goal to make it like another player, but not be so like, because they are cognizant of like, we never played with mysterious objectives. We never really remember what a crater fucking does. And we just like, fuck that. They're cognizant of that, and they indicated as such that it is their goal to not allow that to happen.
I think the keyword system is definitely going to assuage those feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, I don't want to sound like I'm being like negative at you who asked the question, but like, I do not understand why people say rules bloat in 8th edition when it's so streamlined. Like it's probably just the way that I see it.
Because everything's rules. Like, codexes are rules. New units are rules. Yeah.
Like, I understand like not being able to remember what like the stat block of a Skitarii warrior is if you don't play Mechanicum.
Yeah.
But those are things that you don't necessarily have to memorize. But knowing what infantry keyword conveys is really simple and universal to almost all infantry. And yes, there are exceptions because people have addendums to things in their stat blocks to let them do special things. But like, I don't even worry about remembering that stuff. I have game aids to help me out with that. Specifically, like there are certain websites out there like Wahapedia that have all the rules. And I just have every faction page saved as an icon onto my phone screen when I go to events, so that it's like, oh, in the next round, I'm playing Tyranids. I don't really remember anything about Tyranids except for like a few gotcha moves that are popular. Let me open that up preemptively, skim through some of that stuff based on what I'm seeing in my opponent's list, and refresh myself that way. And then, like, if they're doing something that sounds a little weird to me or I don't understand it, I can always just open that right up and read it directly out of their rule book. So there's no issues.
Yeah, I feel like it's a confusion between literature bloat and rules bloat. You don't actually need to know anybody else's fucking rules. You just don't to play the game.
Well, no, you do, because there's all these fucking gotchas out there that everybody, the pro players, like to use these gotchas to get you.
I don't like the way you're saying it kind of derogatory.
You know what's weird though is that
that's exactly why I'm saying it that way, because that's what you see.
Yeah,
so,
but
Rob, you know what the thing is? Most of those, that's just like core game mechanics played at a higher level, like movement and stuff.
But not necessarily. I have been at tables with people. One of them used to be on our podcast that did stuff like that, and it was off-putting. And
I'm not saying all instances. Yeah, like the first time I played GSC, and they could just like out of sequence shoot me at the end of my movement phase. I was like, I should have maybe researched that a little bit.
I'm gonna go a step further and say, like, people who do that, that's not the rules' fault. You literally don't need to know somebody else's army rules to play the game. You don't. You can get
but you have to rely on people's sportsmanship to go, hey, you guys know that Gene Stealer Cult doesn't deploy, right? That we do our own thing before the beginning of the game, so that you don't go, hey, how come you're not? Oh, I'll go first. Oh, I choose not to deploy anything.
Yeah.
And then you deploy, and then they're like, now I'm going to deploy. That's like, okay, oh, you knew a rule I didn't know because I don't play that army. Congratulations, you're going to win the game.
When you're at like a low level event, or you're playing with your homies, or you're just playing some guy at your community center, whatever that may be, like the sportsmanship thing to do is like, okay, you ever played Gene Stealer Cult? Let me tell you a few things so you don't get the feel bads.
Oh,
high level, like at high level play, like if you're at LVO, like I kind of think it's the responsibility of you as a competitor to know at least a little bit about all the factions.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think that being at LVO at the top table absolves you of not being a dick.
We've seen that. We literally have seen that.
You should get to the table and be like, yo, I know we're on the top tables. I'm not trying to insult you. I know you know the game. Have you played Gene Stealer Cult before?
Yeah.
No? Okay, let me break some things down for you, because I want a game that's going to test me as a strategist and tactician, not win on a gotcha.
Yeah.
If I win on a gotcha, that to me, that's not a full test of my skill. That's like if we're playing chess and you go and I go, hey, have you ever played chess before? No? Okay, well, the queen can move diagonally. And I leave that part out. And then when the end game comes, I'm like, oh yeah, the queen can move anywhere, any way she wants.
Oh yeah, I got.
Congrats on losing.
You don't have to like lay out all your secrets and battle plans, but like give them
that's
a
not a
couple
secret.
Of tips. Yeah, exactly.
That's not a secret.
I was about
that's
to say
rule.
like you don't have to lay out all your secrets and battle plans, but giving them a heads up on some things that your unique faction does that is, not normal, not average. Like there's special thing that maybe people don't know offhand. Like, yeah, that's sportsmanship. Yeah. Tell them all about it.
But
I mean, just like when I play like Necrons, even though Necrons have been out for billion years, except for the new stuff that's coming, right? I always make sure to tell people, hey, this res orb allows me to res on 4s. Or, you know what I mean? I let them know what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely stuff that should be included in your pregame banter about like relics and warlord traits and stuff like that you're taking. Like,
but on the other side of the coin, I think rules bloat, what people like to say is, the GW made the promise to us before 8th edition that we wouldn't need as many books. We all know that was bullshit. Like there's no even talk. I'm done talking about it. That was bullshit.
Literature bloat.
It is less books than 7th.
Technically, yes,
fewer books.
Yeah,
that's the other part of it. Like Kenny was saying, but not, and I gotta throw it out there. Not everybody plays those gotchas, and I am still a little sore about it because here, a store that was open here recently and isn't in town anymore, basically advocated that style of play And it was just something that was very off-putting to the local community here. And then, we also saw it at LVO with what's the idiot from Team Happy? What's his name? A-Long. And, he did it. And it was live on TV. Like, it was just obnoxious to watch.
Let me jump in the chat real quick. Suka. I think he's directing this one straight to us. Like, you're wrong, guys. This is a classic opinion against competitive players for no reason, which stops people from attending tournaments and growing again. I'm glad you said that because we were kind of going down a path like that, but you got to know our stance as a podcast is not that. Like, Rob is talking about isolated events. There's always one that we're discussing.
Yep.
We're not talking. It's literally. And I was going to actually, based on what you guys were saying, was going to correlate it back to like. There is a different way you play when you spend a shitload of money, plan for months, and you travel to LVO, right? Mm-hmm. There's a different way of playing. And for the most part, the way Haspil plays is how it is played. Full disclosure. Yeah. That is 99% of your game experience is going to be like that. In fact,
if you go to spikybits.com and type my name into the search bar, I have a couple of articles about just this subject. I think one is called Everything You Know About Tournaments is Wrong. And I go into great lengths to explain.
But I will caveat that by saying it is still done differently than you may expect. It will be the way Haspil handles it is a very classic version of that, right? Like you're gonna let you have some part of your army, and most people they want to win that fucking game for realsies, like because that if you didn't win it for realsies, like you're gonna be happy that you got a scorecard, but like 2 minutes from now you're not gonna be happy. So. The caveat I have is if you're used to playing at your local game store and playing in RTs there and developing that scene, there's going to be a little bit of a different feeling, a lot more like full, everyone's going to be completely transparent with everything on their list. You might even be on the same Facebook groups and talking about them. Everyone knows everything, right? When you go to a tournament, transparency is not really what the opponent wants. He does not want every element of his list to be transparent to you. But for the most part, he will haspil you and remind you that a Resorb does what a Resorb does, right? I do the same thing with I'd let everyone know what Decimators do when I used to play those. And they had my thing is like, yo, these are mortal wound guns. Don't get it twisted, right? But I definitely don't tell you everything. I'm going to tell you a couple of moves, but like as Wyatt mentioned, going all the way back to Rob, you're not going to give away all your fucking secrets. I'm going to remind you that I have a weapon that is a ranged mortal wound gun. But that's it. I'm not going to tell you anything about how I keep them alive, any of my other tricks for making them not easy to kill. Nothing.
I play my Alpha Legion army. I'm going to be like, I have this thing that lets me, shoot you at 18 inches if you deep strike. I have this thing called conceal. But I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to use it.
Right. The difference between you guys, what we're talking about, right, is the difference between rules and tactics and strategy.
Nice.
Right.
Thank you.
The rule is, my pawn can move in a straight line. And if it reaches the other end of the board, it can turn into a queen. That's the rule. The actual strategy use, Queen's Gambit or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Pinning with a rook, all that stuff, that's tactics and strategy. That's not rules.
See, and real quick, back to the chat. Zedu, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was feeling what you were saying. I was going to relate it to warfare. I got you in sword duel means you're still alive. Right. This isn't a real fight. We have a fake set of guidelines in order to do the fake fight that if we're both not at least reasonably on the same level of, you don't have even a fight. That's not even real then. If it's literally my win is predicated on a complete move that is absolutely defendable against, but I purposely maybe I'll, that's fine. That's a win's a win. If you didn't physically cheat the guy, I can't say that you're a cheat or anything. It's just that's not the type of win most competitors want. And back to Rob, people. There's that people element. Rob professionally reports on all these events, and there's always one, man. And they are the person who gets publicized the most and does, back to Suka's point, are the reason some of these guys don't want to go to a tournament because they sometimes hear about these guys and don't realize that we're exposing them because there has to be punishment. As we always say that there has to be consequences because there's no fucking consequences that people are going to keep doing bad sportsman behaviors. They're going to keep doing maybe passive or active cheats. So take it with a grain of salt. When you read an article and it seems like all the articles you read that day are about how everyone cheats you at tournament play, it's just not the case. And Rob could corroborate that.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think GW is cognizant of these points, to be quite honest. And I think, we really saw this escalate to kind of where it's at in 8th. I would like to think it's the pinnacle of that style of play. I would be very surprised if we didn't see that kind of start to fade away in the new edition, because I think the new edition is going to be more transparent and more easy to kind of follow along, and not like these long-winded tri-tipping. Like, not that tri-tipping isn't like a bad tactic, but it's an advanced tactic that sometimes people have a hard time understanding, but you're not going to be able to do it with tanks no more, apparently.
I haven't seen that anywhere, actually. We talked about this last week, where people were saying like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that. But I think the only thing that GW has said is that there are going to be changes to falling back.
I think they said it in one of their streams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I haven't seen that discussed anywhere else by anybody, which seems like that would be a really big deal, especially on like the competitive 40K Facebook page. Like, I'm just asking a question.
I don't have so much.
No, well, I think what Rob's talking about is that you're not going to be able to do that to vehicles anymore.
Yeah, I think
you're not going to be able to tag them, and then they can't fire. Is what I was saying.
Okay. So like,
you said tri-tipping too.
Yeah, because like tri-tipping stops them from being able to leave combat.
I guess in my mind, I only play with stuff basically that flies
yeah.
or
right. So technically, you may not be able to keep them from falling back, because a vehicle can just straight shoot itself out of combat by killing your boys, because you can shoot into engagement range.
Correct.
But I don't think I haven't seen anything yet that suggests that you can just leave combat.
I predict
if you're stopped by enemy
much
bombs.
like hit and run used to be, where it says when falling back, you ignore the models in the unit you're engaged with. I believe that that's going to come. Like, because I think I've seen enough reading between the lines and a lot of things they're saying. Because I think GW like basically didn't, because like it's an advanced tactic. George said advanced tactic equals gaminess in a lot of situations, right? Like that's the movement game, right? People weren't doing that the first day. They were doing it like the second day, and so GW, I don't think realized that was the thing. And I don't think GW they hate close combat, and they hate when people get trapped in close combat. So I'm pretty sure that is coming, even though they haven't said it as specifically as that.
I think there's going to be a lot of nuances, and I think this edition. Okay, let me put it to you this way. So I was actually talking to a mutual friend of ours, Kenny, about this. This edition is for the more recent people that have gotten into the hobby, and for the new folks that are going to get into the hobby to kind of replace the attrition of folks that have left in 7th and 8th. There's no reason why GW didn't incorporate this in the 8th edition, other than they're a business. They want to sell a shit. They're going to do it, because literally there's no reason why they couldn't have. If this is just an edition update, there's no reason why they couldn't have done it. But this is for the new people. This is to keep their stocks going. This is to keep their release schedules going. This is a business. So for all the older hobbyists out there.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, if there was never any updates to the game, like if we got to like a happy medium, let's just say in a hypothetical world, we got 40K to a happy medium where everybody, like just about everybody was like, yeah, this is okay. And they never updated it again, other than adding like new units to the game for like spicy models, right? That game would die. We've seen it with every single type of game in this industry, that it's like they get to that point and they're like, this is it forever. Like, we're just going to, hands off. We'll only release new models. Like those games.
There's a couple of exceptions I think of, but it's because the fans picked it up and ran with it. And the one that jumps to mind is Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
right. Blood Bowl was stagnant for forever, and then they made the living rule book, and then GW kind of piggybacked off of that living rule book.
Yeah, they adapted a lot of that rule book into what Blood Bowl is now.
And now they're actually talking about, I guess, a Blood Bowl 3.0.
I think it's 2.0. So like, it's supposed to be
2.0.
Durnax. So you're like, yeah, BattleTech's been like the same for 30 years. I'm like, when's the last time you saw somebody playing BattleTech?
Yeah,
dude?
And it hasn't been the same for 30 years. It has Alpha Strike. They've changed it up.
Yeah.
BattleTech, BattleTech is about to be the classic example of what happens to a brand when they don't police their IP, because they about to not sell nothing because you can get all their shit anywhere you look.
Like,
it's bad.
So, point of contention here. When I say a game is dead, this is what I mean. It's no longer played by a wide audience, right? If you see like two guys that in your game store every week that have been playing BattleTech for 30 years, like, yeah, people are playing BattleTech. We get it. There's a very small group of people that come into Adepticon every year and have a little BattleTech event with like the 15 of them. But that game is dead. It's a dead game. You know, like you can still log on to your old Xbox 360 and play Halo 2, but nobody plays that shit online anymore. It's dead. You know, when I say, I don't necessarily mean that zero people play it. I mean that it's played in such small numbers that it might as well be zero. Like it's out of the zeitgeist. It's done.
You thought Titanic was not being played. No, that's actually Super Bowl.
And my Karita honor has to defend BattleTech a little bit. The community has moved online.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
With BattleTech.
You can get online, but I mean the 3D print files.
Yeah, walking into a game store and being like, "Yo, let's get a pickup game of BattleTech." You're going to be waiting there a long time.
I don't know if I said, I forgot who said. I think George maybe. I don't know if I said dumbing down. If I did say dumbing down, that's not what I meant. I think GW wants. You have to look at the customer base. GW has already said that, hey, they want Dreadnoughts and they want that cool IP shit, and Kenny's alluded to it a lot. They want that to be the thing that people see to get into it. Yes, they want the aesthetics, but also they are directly competing with video games and all those like online games, like all over Twitch and stuff. So it has to be sexy. It has to be obtainable. It has to be easily digestible. And so they're really riding this fine line in 2020 with making all of those things come together, but also keeping people, older hobbyists, happy, keeping newer hobbyists still energized and in the game, but also they have a responsibility to the shareholders at the end of the day. It's the only person they have a responsibility to, but all this thing comes full circle together. So I think the terrain rules are going to be very interesting as far as like levels, and they're saying everything has to move a lot because you won't be able to see. The tables are smaller now. Your hypotenuse is going to be about 77 inches. You know, if it's 44 by 60, it's about 77. So anything with a 6 foot range really doesn't matter unless you're shooting corner to corner. So think about that too. Like you're not going to be able to draw a line of sight in a lot of cases, even though you might be able to see it, you see. But here's maybe the biggest indicator of all that is the fact that we noticed that they brought in like 42 pallets of each of those Killzone big terrain sets from Kill Team, right? With the boards, the big fold out boards that we all know, hey, that's what 40K is played on now.
Yeah, and one thing that Frontline said is that when they were alerted officially to this new board size, is they were told that it was so that they could market the Kill Team boards as modular game tables, where like you just take one, add another one, add another one, add another one, and it creates those tiers of game size for like the minimum play size.
So they can sell $90 box sets and cut out people selling something.
So so we've been talking about it. So Tablegate, we as a podcast unified behind the idea that we were overthinking it, right? And it made so much sense, and I was 100%. I shifted off of my platform 100% because it was like, you're right. And then, like the next day? And we were also like, oh, GW, thank you for giving us these rules like before the podcast. And then the fucking next day, they're like, oh, yeah.
It was like the biggest rules drop of that week.
I was like, God, you keep doing us like that. So this reminds me of Gale Force 9, Rob.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you make like one type of product, and it's just like technically the only one you ever need to buy, but you can keep dropping it in different colors.
Every 9 months.
Every 9 months, you can kind of get people. That's how table mats have been. And this is not bad for the company who makes the game. And it's not like a death blow to anybody whose business model is printing mats.
Or we could just resize their mats, but
no, it's literally actually good because it's not like now it's like if people like Frontline Gaming are like straight up, got it. We're going to push for this mat. We're going to produce a new mat size. GW is going to get on board. The only people who do suffer is like TOs who like wanted that specific size mat, right? And even then, it's not the end of the world. So it's more of a case of GW's fucking with the market. They want more control and they also want more money. Can't blame them. And this is just like relaunching from month 0. And then in 9 months, they get to recycle the colors, right? It's just a reset. It sucks. It sucks if you already invested thousands of dollars in 6x4 game mats and the community wants the new mat and you wanted the convenience of board edges and now you might need to go cut them all with shears or whatever. Like that's frustrating. I'm sorry.
So let's pretend that I don't know anything about the new game mats. What are you guys talking about?
So
asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
So last week we talked about how the points maximum levels, the tiers, had special names. So what we're used to playing 2,000 points as the cap, that's called a strike force. And there's a mission pack that goes with that. Well, they released the table, not a physical one, but a table of contents. And it was saying that the minimum required board size for 2,000 point games is 44 inches by 60 inches, right? And they released the same thing for the other ones. So, you know, if you're playing 1,001 to 2,000 points, you're recommended to play on a board no smaller than 44 by 60 inches. Now, minimum. If you are OG 6x4 ride or die, cool. Keep on playing it. It doesn't affect you whatsoever. But a lot of the major tournament organizations like Frontline, Nova, Adepticon, and Battle for Salvation, basically all the majors in our country have said, we are going to move to the 44 to 60 size
so
for our tournaments.
I'm like, you're talking about 4 inches in one direction and 12 inches in another. I don't really see.
It's not a big deal in the game at all. It's literally meaningless, right? Which begs the question, why even? If it's a meaningless amount of inches, why change the size when thousands upon thousands of tabletop mats have already been produced? And those are the easy ones. What about the people who've created these like awesome cinematic, like top table 6x4s?
Well, it's entirely to market like their modular.
It doesn't impact us.
Terrain mats.
It doesn't impact us anyway because we can still define the rules as a TO as the players. It's just obnoxious in a classic case of GW obnoxiousness. Like, why even change it if it's that meaningless of a number? Like, why?
I would like from that standpoint, it's silly. Like, I personally have no feelings on it in the negative. Like, it doesn't affect me.
Honestly, the easiest thing that I would do is play 60 by 48 because then you get a 12-inch deployment zone. Like, not deployment zone, a 12-inch staging area. So we just go, hey, this side of the table, these 12 inches, you can put all your crap here. That's it. Well, then play 60 by 48. Done.
Yeah, we could, but then that wouldn't work with the math of their foldy kill team boards.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason. I mean, like, if you're out there and you have your table or you go to a shop every week to play with your boys and it's all 6x4 tables, man, just keep doing it. It doesn't affect you whatsoever. If you want to try it out, try it out. But if you're going to go to events like many people do, just be aware that like you may go to an event and they're going to say 60 by 44. And if you go to a local event, your local TOs that run their own things might have different opinions and they may do the smaller one. They may do the old 6x4. So just like be ready to adapt to it. But you know,
I guess I've seen some stuff in the chat that is frankly making me skeptical, and I'm not trying to mock people, but you're like, more people can fit at tournaments, dude. It's no.
I don't.
It's going to be the same. You have to put this table that you're playing on a physical other table, so it's not going to change anything. Hotel tables are the same.
I think it's
size.
actually going to be a good thing because that means people will be spread out a little bit more.
It's more like what Mike said, more space between tables.
Yeah, you'll have more space between tables, less nut to butt action, which I'm not a fan of, and tournament table rows and cramped spaces. So I think it's just going to be more efficient games, more efficient placement of tables, and a lot less crampedness at tournaments. So it's only a good thing. Like, I
have a pretty conspiracy theory level of speculation. But and which C's one prompted me to remember. Because remember, it says minimum size. And me and Wyatt had a discussion earlier, Rob, where it's like, well, what is the minimum? Is that 1,001 to 2,000 is the minimum size? It's like, interesting. So like minimum size, you would speculate would be on the smaller side of the minimum points for that category of play, right? All the way up to a maximum. So then I remembered many conversations you and I have had with Reese over the years where he's like, if only I can convince people to go down to 1750 again. If only I can convince people to go to 1,500 points. God damn it, it'd make me so fucking happy. Because then we'd always be on time. We might even be able to do the correct number of rounds, play a smaller game, but nobody wants to go. Remember, what used to be 1,500 points. It went to 1,750, went to 1,850, went to 2K. Then it was 1999 plus one. Then it briefly was back to 1,850, and then it was 2,000 all over again. If TOs are starting to really push, like the big event organizers, this new table size. And then I'm like, wait, but like there's a whole 1,000 points in that window. I have a suspicion it might like now with the global event organizer saying they're using that size, ITC saying they're using that size. Am I out of the ballpark by saying like 1750, 1850 tournaments again? Like also drop down a little bit?
There's no CP setting for 1750. It's just 1,500 to 2K.
That's what I'm saying. Same CPs. It's a slightly smaller army on a slightly smaller table. And you have a wealth of CP. Am I out of, is this, do you think it's that time? Like the opposite direction?
I mean, it's hard to say what their intentions are. You can just look at the indicators. You can look at, hey, they say it's this, and hey, you can fit in more people, and 25%, 20% more people is 20% more money at events. Yay. I get that.
I think it's like, I think that point of like smaller tables, smaller game mats means more tables or more players. Like, I think that's very largely speculative. I think I don't think, I
kind of don't buy that. And I'm looking at some of the stuff here because folks were saying these are standard kitchen table sizes. I'm not buying that either.
It is
at a
because
bunch of stuff.
When they came out with that Moonbase, I think it was the Moonbase Classius was the first one that did it. And I
don't see 60-inch tables though. I just don't.
I don't know. I don't have a dining room table, so I can't measure it. I'm going to look on the IKEA website to check it.
I'm on the IKEA website.
Oh, okay. One of the biggest comments in my YouTube video review of that Moonbase set that came out, I was like, I don't even understand. This isn't 4x6. And then Kill Team came out, and then we started to understand. Every comment that people about the size was like, oh, it fits on a dining room table. And I was like, oh, that's kind of genius. But I never suspected 3 years later that it would be the tournament standard.
And most of the tables that I see, the 60-inch part, and I'm not talking about IKEA stuff now. The 60-inch part is not the problem. It's the 44 to 48-inch part that's the problem. Because you can like walk into Walmart and buy 72-inch long tables that are 3.5 feet wide, right?
And most of the time you see two of those put together to have the
to make our 6x4 table. So that's why I'm not hopping on the train of, hey, well, we're going to be able to get more people, because when you go to LVO or a hotel or whatever, you're just going to, they're using the same tables. The hotel doesn't care about our hobby.
Well, yeah, but they're going to have to figure out how many more to fit in the block, because they're going to
Well, that should be easy to figure out. Just chop off 12 inches per table.
I see a lot of people talking about how the points are going to change, so the armies are going to be a lot smaller. I got some information today from a insider under NDA, so I'm not gonna out them. But the lists that they're making for 9th edition are very similar to the size of lists they were making for 8th edition. So I would not expect, a Chicken Little sky is falling situation as far as points increases are concerned. Mm-hmm. We're talking maybe like a 2,000 point army may have lost 80 to 100 points.
Yeah, because people always figure like the shuffle. Like you have if your army was like, 8-man squad, a 10-man squad, blah, blah. Now you're just running 3 5-man squads. You picked up those points. The army doesn't look different, and it operates exactly the same way. It's not quite what you think it's going to be. And I was waiting for you to bring that point up when I saw that, like, we're already going down. Look, I'm not saying I advocate for 1,500 point games, right? What I'm saying is that for a competitive tournament where you're running 6 rounds, it is undeniably better for time, right? And it accounts for all the variables and the fail rates of like issues when you know you have this extra time built in. TOs are attracted to that. Straight up. Now, we obviously really like our big games. And it's about the TOs talking us into how cool a 1750 game is. So I suspect that you may start to hear some TOs try to talk us into how cool 1850 is, 1750 is. And I'm not saying it's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's their motivation. It's not like, and it doesn't actually deteriorate the game in any way, changes the tactics, changes the strategies. You know, and
I'm fine with all that. Like, I mean, here's the thing. If you're playing with your buddies, play Warhammer however you want. This shouldn't even be an issue. If you don't want to play in a 44 by 60, don't. Just don't do it. It shouldn't affect you. You shouldn't feel upset. And here's the other thing. If you're going to go to events, right? If you want to go to tournaments have rules. So it's like if Frontline came down tomorrow and they were like, if you want to play at LVO, you got to wear a mask and a clown hat, or you're not playing at LVO. That's the rule. Well, I'm going to get a mask and a fucking clown hat because I want to play at LVO and them's the rules. You know, like if you're not part of the governing body that puts these rules down, there's no reason to like whinge and moan of it. If you want to play, just play by the rules. It's the same as like any other sport or esport or whatever, right? If they say you can't do something or you have to do something, you just got to do it. You got to play by the rules.
I just think it's not even consequential.
Yeah, it's not.
It's really not.
We're really attached to these things that we like, right? But it doesn't matter. So I want to touch on Bulldog. He makes a lot of great points. I play tournaments not for time, but for having great games. He's like, who cares? Like most games of 40K are being played at home. He's like, I got all damn day. Let me hit you with this. LVO. In that one weekend, more games of 40K are played than you will play your entire life if you only play at home. Like, that is just not true, brother. It's just not true. Like right now where we are in 2020, 2019, 2020, and we're 8th going 9th edition, is the ITC, the actual Pro Tour, has created a phenomenon of play that in a structure that is so easy to use that it's happening everywhere, right? 800 people in a room playing 6-7 rounds over the weekend. That is an insane number. GW is now cognizant of that. They used to not give a shit about it, but now it is at a place where they understand that what is happening on those tables informs the purchasing decisions of the rest of the player base.
Right.
And they now give a shit about it. So everything that's happening, I would speculate, is about getting people comfortable with the idea of organized play. And these new missions are truly telling in that, like these missions that we talked a little junk on last week, but the other day we're like, it doesn't matter. They are designed to get you ready for organized play. They care about that. This is a great thing. Like all we do on this podcast is like look at the information and comment on it. It's just opinions, like speculation.
Also say this. I talked to my buddy about this in the lowering the points limit down a little bit. So if we have smaller games for the game board, and we have smaller games for the point cost, so armies are smaller, which leads to faster games. Wouldn't it be like way more fun if we could go to tournaments where instead of waking up at like 6 a.m. to roll dice at like 7:30, 8 a.m., and we're there for like 12 hours straight, you could go to LVO, wake up and go play 40K at like 10 a.m., have a solid like hour and a half between games, and then still be out of there by like 4 or 5 in the afternoon and go hang out with your homies and like see all the people that you like to see and bullshit with at tournaments that you only get to see there. I mean, like that's one of the cool things about going to LVO, going to SoCal Open, going to Adepticon or Nova or whatever, is like you get to see your event buds that you only really get to hang out with because you live on opposite sides of the country. Like, I don't know about you, but that seems like a gamer's paradise to me. If I could sleep in a little bit, have quick games with nice long breaks in between, still be out of there by dinner time, like that's awesome. So
push for 1,500 point games. You'll be able to do all that.
I would totally do it. I'd be happy to play 15.
I would get behind it if Reese came out and was like, all right, guys, I mean, go with me on this. I think 1850 is where we need to go. I'd be like, 1,500, let's fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because 1850, we've run a bajillion tournaments, right? In my mind, there's no difference between 1850 and 2000. It takes the same amount of time.
Yeah.
1500.
We're going to game our list to be the same.
1500. Now you're talking. I'm saving an hour. I'm saving an hour off each round. You know what I mean? That is an actual thing. I don't think that 1850 or 1750 makes a viable difference between that and 2000.
And I do agree with George that he said 1750 is a perfect number. I agree with the marketing of that number because they're still going to have to talk us into it. And that might be the perfect number to talk us into it. You know what I mean? And then once everyone gets over, we're saying
it's the perfect number in a vacuum. You don't haven't even seen the points changes. You have no idea.
Right. It's good. But the reason he said it is because historically, like, it's like, oh, I got to compromise 1750. It's a marketing number. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think people are more receptive to that number before hearing 1500. You know what I mean? That's all. I think 1500 is correct. I think 1500, we have a wealth of fucking CP, have this awesome new board, and fucking we make real decisions about our lists and all the units matter, and let's fucking play.
But we don't know 100% what all the CP is. We don't know. We haven't seen the CP for any of the other detachments except for the big one, right? Battalion.
Yeah. So they talked about how patrols, battalions, and brigades get refunded their cost if your warlord is
your warlord's in there. But I don't think they gave the cost on all of them except for just one.
Battalion, just battalion for 3.
Right. So we don't have all the information yet. So it's really hard to make intelligent conclusions
either way.
Drop.
Right. Either way. I want to remind people about that. It's impossible to make either going, this is going to be awesome, or the sky is falling predictions. You can't do it.
And I don't think GW I think they got enough playtesters to really make sure that this edition goes over well. Nah. That's what I'm thinking. But I also think
playtesters, yeah.
I also think this app, and again, we don't know a lot about the app, but the potential on this app is really great because you'll be able to see points. You'll be able to see what region of the world they're in, what missions they're playing. And that way Games Workshop can use that data to adjust, hopefully, a lot of the units, like, hey, we need to make this better. Hey, this isn't selling. How do we make it better, et cetera, et cetera. So I think overall that will lead to a better play experience going forward. Now, I'm hopeful for that, but I don't know. But if I was GW,
if everything happens the way you just described it, God, yes. Like,
it would be dope, right? So
yes.
Let's all, as far as like faster games are concerned,
I was going to comment on that.
Let's all remember that, like,
that has never happened.
Yeah, when you learn to play the game and you are actively like on a clock, like many players that go to events, like I can play a game really fast.
Yep.
And we still have people that, regardless of the points value, if they have like 1,000 points of an elite army like Space Marines, it still takes them like 5 hours to play a game.
Yeah, dude, it's my buddy Dave and Kenny can vouch for this. I don't think Kenny and I have played a game that's been less than 2 hours. I really don't. And with my buddy Dave, I mean, he plays at Adepticon. We play.
Oh, you mean more than 2 hours?
Right, but we play games that are like 6 hours long. One game, because we'll forget. We'll be talking about something and then be like, "Oh, dude, what was I doing? Like, I should move."
Like,
right?
to the point, real quick. To the point, Suka. He's like, I think the game's already going to be quicker, and that's like a reference to the new rule set. GW is kind of promising. They actually said it was our goal to make 8th edition quicker, and then it didn't happen. Right? This fucking game has never gotten quicker, ever. Like, from day one to now.
Yeah, rounds have stayed about the same at every tournament.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's some people that when you play on a clock, they play as fast as humanly possible. Like, they have their game plan and they just go to town, right? Win or lose. And there are some people that are like, if I have 3 hours to play this game, I'm going to utilize efficiently every second of those 3 hours to tactically outwit my opponent and like win this game.
The only thing that actually makes the game quicker is a resource
and then there's
management
like
tool.
a third people that constantly like run out of time and only ever play 2 rounds, and it causes arguments and stuff. But like, that's never going to change. Some people are really good at playing a clock, some aren't.
Yeah. And that's the whole, I think we can all acknowledge that if you had 3 hours and you got through 2 rounds, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way the game is meant to be played. Like, you're messing up.
Yeah, you're taking way too long on stuff, or you're doing something wrong. Like,
and I've played games like that before, where that was like a strategy. This was at a Adepticon. Geez, like so long ago, it wasn't even in the current hotel. Right. But that was our opponent's strategy. We was playing Dark Eldar, and we had a bunch of stuff that came out of portals. This was like 4th edition, maybe. Mm-hmm. It was a long, long time ago. And these guys took an hour and 20 minutes to deploy. And I called the judge over because I was like, I want you to see what these guys have done. They sat there and just ran time because they knew that if we went first, we were going to table them. And they took an hour and a half to deploy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's why we have clocks now.
And I'm like, I'm going to zero you on sportsmanship.
Yeah,
like, you guys are done.
I'm going to shout out Apocalypse. He's like, unless tournaments provide some kind of bonus for any of the games sooner. Let me tell you this. So that was the predecessor to chess clocks. People mess with that idea over the years. Like, if the game, you get extra points or no points, the game ends before a certain turn, right? People have messed with that. That was the training wheels to where we are now, which is time as a resource. We both get to split that resource equally, and we both don't get to use the other person's resource when having a match to play at them. We are there now. And the incentive for finishing your games on time is that you get to actually move your fucking models, because when you run out of time, you don't. That's the incentive.
Yeah. I mean, like, when we had this discussion when chess clocks were like getting bandied about as like a change that should be done, there's a lot of backlash. A lot of pros, a lot of cons that people were throwing out there. I'll tell you, I ran an experiment. And for anybody who doesn't know me, I have a lot of physical limitations that normal people don't. I won't get into it, but it's out there on the table. So I chose specifically to not practice with chess clocks. I was like, I know what I'm about. I know I play 40K reasonably fast to begin with. I'm not going to practice. So at SoCal Open last year, that was the first time that I was put in a position where I was forced to play on a chess clock, because the rule is if one person wants it, you both play on it. I was prepared for this mentally. So I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. And it was never an issue. It was not a problem. It was actually quite easy. It's actually, to me, mentally easier because there is a physical representation of how much time we have left rather than no representation where you're just waiting for the TO to be like, you guys have an hour left. You guys have an half hour left. Because there's no big giant clock on the wall. There's no buzzer.
And everyone forgets when the round started. Like, you're like, wait.
Yeah, exactly. So like, to me, it's actually easier to play within time when that little thing is right there. So it's like, it shouldn't be a big deal. And it's like, if you really have that much of an issue playing on a clock, and you're not like wasting your time by like BSing and doing all this other stuff, then maybe playing at that level isn't for you. Like,
I love it. So I've literally never played a game of 40K on a clock that was not at a tournament. Like, I literally don't even own
exactly.
I literally like showed it to my first tournament. They were like, yo, chess clock, got it. I'm not an idiot. like it's so easy, but it's a little off topic. A lot of things happen. We actually have a prepared, I want to say paperwork for all the stuff that's occurred, because obviously
I have notes. I took notes
between podcasts. GW dropped all the cool shit. So most people have been sitting on information for like a week, right, Rob?
I mean, a lot of stuff's come out in, past 5 days or so, I suppose.
So we're late to the table on a lot of subjects.
Yeah, and I mean, like we can go over it very quickly. Like I knew that going into making these talking points, and so like things that we've already mentioned offhand, we'll be able to skip, and then like there's some new stuff that is relatively like hot and new over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen stuff for War of the Spider. We got Imperial Knight rule or Engine War rules. Like, kind of feel like they're kind of lame ducky because we don't have ninth. So it's like,
yeah, we don't have context for a lot of like, the new Knight stuff or the new Mechanicum stuff. Like, on the face of it, those stratagems are like, yeah, that's cool. But as far as like, how will it impact my collection?
I think it's just we're going to have to like circle back to a lot of that stuff that's not ninth. But then again, all the ninth stuff, it's like,
oh, look at the doggo. Look at that face.
I'm excited for ninth, but I'm more excited to find out more rules about Ninth. I want to find out Forge World rules. I want to find out how I'm going to play with my Titans and my big models. I want to find out how it all is going to work. I want to, hey, are my custodians going to have more than 5 CPs finally? Yes, that would be dope. You know, like obviously that's the shit I want to know.
Yeah. I think everybody's in that boat.
Yeah.
Just like all we can do is like speculate and be optimistic and positive.
So like pretty stoked. I think overall, and I mean, there's still a lot of new releases on the way. I mean, we're going to see the preview on Saturday. I would expect they are going to announce Sunday that this is going to go on pre-order the 20th, just like we saw on the port import sheet where the novel's supposedly going on sale Tuesday.
Are you talking about 9th edition box set on the 20th or War of the Spider?
9th edition box set.
Oh, okay.
I don't see why you wouldn't show the box set.
I want it
the very next
sooner.
day.
Yeah, I want it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, if you show the box set, that is the peak of interest. The very next day when you do your Sunday teaser, hey, guess what? Box set's going on pre-order, guys.
Yeah, pull it.
I don't know, but that's what I would do.
Oh my god, who's the Bethesda guy?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard, because like every time Todd Howard goes to E3, they announce a new game, and it's like for sale like a month later. They don't do we're announcing this game that might come out nebulously 3 years from now, like some companies. So maybe they'll do a Todd Howard type announcement. And you can get it next week.
And I think
let's do the rules dump and then do the beginning of the show so we can jump back in the tabletop marketplace.
Okay,
if that works.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So. All right. So, of course, the day after the podcast, they talk all about detachments and CP, which is what we missed out on. The detachments are going to cost CP rather than generate them, kind of turning that whole dynamic on its head. And of course, we start with 12. We already mentioned that whatever detachment, like for patrol, battalion, brigade, if your warlord is in a detachment like that, it refunds the cost. Detachments from additional codices are going to cost a little bit more. Some mission types will award more CP. So, like I said, in your standard one, like they talked about, you'll generate 1 CP in the command phase. Some missions will award more command points. That's interesting. They said alternate detachments like a Vanguard will cost CP, but not so much that it's bad, right? So our definition of bad / viable and GW's definition of bad / viable could be very different things, but they said it won't be that bad. So we'll see what happens. They mentioned there are going to be new relics that generate CP and steal CP. Very interesting. I like that for like a bad guy type faction, like Dark Eldar or Chaos. Like, I'll take your CP. That's cool. Core troops will still be important because actions, capital A actions that we talked about last week, they're going to be integral to those in many cases. And of course, OBSEC. They were a little bit vague, but they did say that they did a little tweak, little rework to how transports will work. The abilities that refund spent CP or like refund to CP are still going to be capped at 1. And that makes sense because not only are we having more on average, but we're also generating them throughout the game. There's going to be additional ways to generate them, but refunding them is still capped at 1, which is a good thing. Whole slew of new core stratagems, new universal stratagems. So the 3 that we know and love and 5 new ones. They said that elite armies are supposed to be more viable. They mentioned
like a direct reference to CP, probably.
Yeah. They mentioned knights, and they said that taking a knight for the example was Imperium. So if you want to take a knight for your Imperium army, the 1 to 2 CP extra point cost is definitely still going to be worth it. The core rulebook is going to
hold on, go back to that, which is like they've to this point didn't tell us what a detachment would cost. All that we knew is like battalion is 3, and then they told us we would pay for other ones and then more for out of codex, right? Mm-hmm. And then they just said there for like Imperial Army to take a knight, the 1 to 2. So they kind of give us the minimum and the maximum, I feel like, in that statement. And right now, the only 2 ways to get that is an auxiliary detachment and a super heavy detachment. kind of indicates to me that they just kind of gave us the points of those two detachments.
Yeah, there's some context there for sure.
Right. So like, which might mean that everything is 1 CP. And then if it's out of faction, it's 2 CP. And I mean, I'm just trying to draw from numbers they've given us. So
yeah. Core rulebook is going to have core universal capital actions, and codices will add unique actions. So
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Actions is dope because like a lot of in more advanced games with better game theory and more modern game theory have a little bit more simplified movement structure with a lot more action based and reaction based rules. And the fact that GB is like actions is a thing and there will be actions unique. That's sounding like maybe we're going to get a deck of cards with this thing now.
That'll be cool.
I mean, I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying like it's kind of like that, you know.
I mean, I hope there's cards. I need little references or I forget everything.
I'm old too. It's okay.
Getting there. Changes for tanks and monsters. So we touched on this earlier. Tanks can shoot into engagement range. This is where they clarified engagement range, which is models within an inch of each other.
Statement. Yeah. Cool.
Yep. So that's engagement range. Anytime you hear that, that's what it means. And it's long and bloated. So I'll give it to you in a hypothetical. So let's say that you have a Lehman Russ tank. It's got your battle cannon. It's got your sponson weapons and your las cannon, right? And let's say 2 of my Chaos Space Marines are within engagement range. When you activate a model to shoot, you must declare all of the targets for all the weapons you are going to shoot and then shoot that in order. So let's say I'm going to target the Chaos Space Marines with my heavy bolters, and I'm going to hit your tank with my battle cannon and my las cannon. Well, you cannot fire the battle cannon and the las cannon at a target outside of combat unless you kill those units you are in engagement range with. But you still have to declare all of your targets, right? It's just like if I declare I'm shooting all of my guns at this target and I kill it on the first volley, so my other shots go away. Don't get those. Kind of the same thing. That's what it means.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's actually pretty cool. 40K's been needing some kind of mechanic like that for a long time. I don't know how they would really incorporate that with a you go and I go mechanic that we keep playing. But I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to make vehicles very incentivized.
Because
there's so many things incentivizing vehicles. I'm very happy.
They simplified vehicles because remember we had whole facings, armor values, and like arcs, and it was very complex, right? And one could say they dumbed it down, right? And the way vehicles played innately, way smoother and easier on the battlefield with the dumbing. But I think they did lose a little nuance and flavor in that. And this is something that I think brings back some of that vehicle flavor. I really do like that. And I think there's another one that adds to it too.
Let's see. It also applies to monsters. So like tanks, like vehicles and monsters, all the same thing. Interesting thing for monsters is now they can fight 1 floor up. So gone are the days of, you have a Carnifex. I'm going to go up to this first floor of this ruin. Nanny boo boo, you can't get
and my claws literally touching you.
Yeah,
I can't do anything.
If you have like a Carnifex, Hive Tyrant, Bobby G, Lord Discordant, like all that stuff.
You can't even walk through walls.
You're going to have to get pretty far away
and we do
to not be able to touch you.
They didn't tell us how that would play out in a string of words, but we do have precedences from previous editions where close combat was pretty nuanced. We used to have a lot more detailed rules on how to fight in a building. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we have been in editions where literally it was like, okay, if you're on a floor above me, the whole 2-inch thing is like from the model to the base now instead of base to base. We had editions where it's like 6 inches. When you're in a building, it's just a 6-inch scrum. Like I'm down here, you're here, you're in range. So there was editions where it's like, as long as the guy's in there, anybody's 6 inches on the ground. I used to be able to sneak a Fenrir Rizzling and Wolf up there, and all my bikes who couldn't go up a level could still hit you. So I think they're probably going to do the 6-inch one. Like basically, because otherwise, if you go to like my face is within an inch of your guy who's a level above, so I can engage. Now that really tightens the hold on modeling, and I don't like things that do that.
And I think the new terrain dynamics, because terrain is going to be clarified, classified, have keywords, all that stuff. I think that's going to help out with a lot of that too. A lot of those interactions, because they did say that there are certain types of terrain where monsters / vehicles will not be able to enter them, and only infantry can go in there. So I think that is going to help distinguish what you can and can't do as well, and make it a lot easier.
Because you remember when this edition dropped, that was one of the things. Remember, everyone blew up on the internet about walls and how it fucked everything up. And then you realize in practice, it was more like just these two things with walls. And so there is a lot more maneuvering in 8th edition than 7th edition, for sure. But I think we can use a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. And so that really makes me excited to hear.
Yeah. Now we get into the revisions to weaponry they talked about. Real big one is that the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons now only applies to infantry.
Yes.
That's the other one. That's
the maker.
Huge. Oh, it's so big.
Thank the man, Jesus.
It's gigantic.
And
yeah, see, Haspil, that goes back to the other one, right? So they dumbed down vehicles, made them easier to use, but we lost some flavor. And now we got this and the shooting in the combat one. Vehicles have the flavor again, and it's easier to use. I fucking love it.
Because that was my single biggest pet peeve with 8th, that a tank would be at -1 for shooting a heavy weapon. Like it's literally designed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this rule, and it was as if in one voice, all the Imperial Guard players jizzed their pants.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of, they want people to maneuver now. So you're not going to maneuver with Guard, and Guard armies are kind of expensive. So they're going to want to equalize that, I feel like.
Throw it back to chat for a second. Tau battlesuits have become gods, yeah. Because like they're the big ones that are monsters. That's sick, bro. Like you should. Like I love it. This the flavor. And the more Wyatt reads to me, the more I continuously backpedal away from my original stance of like, this isn't 9th edition. Come on, it's 8 version 1.2. It's sounding more and more like a full blown shift. Like I'm not saying the difference between 7th and 8th, but an actual new, like a full blown fleshed out new edition. Like I'm liking what I'm hearing.
It's definitely a big change, but we're not going to have to relearn how to play 40K.
Yes.
Like the core functionality of how we play 40K based on 8th edition, still there. So it'll be a lot easier to pick up this edition than it was between 7th and 8th.
This isn't like 5th to 6th where suddenly casualties were removed from the point of the fire. Remember that crap?
Yeah.
Like it's not like that. That fundamentally fucked your brain after 10 years of not playing that way,
Yeah. And then they talk about blast weapons. This is a big deal too. So they talked about all these things are going to get blast clarification. They mentioned 174 weapons, and the core rules are going to get blast keyword. And they laid it out pretty easily in two bullet points. So if your thing has blast, point 1, if you target a unit that has 6 to 10 models in it, like at that time, not started that way, but if it has 6 to 10, you get a minimum of 3 shots with your random shots. So if you roll a 1 or a 2, it counts as 3. Point 2, if you target a unit that has 11 or more models in that unit, you get max shots all the time.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
And then they clarified that blast keyworded weapons cannot shoot into combat. So if it gets blast, you cannot use those to shoot yourself out of engagement range.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. That, what's dope about that is like, so when they took away our templates and gave us the random, I was definitely on the dick of like, look guys, it is a higher damage ceiling in a lot of situations. Cause like you guys know, like you used to be able to take 5 dudes, max their coherency out, do like a semicircle, and dudes like, no matter how I moved the template, he couldn't get but 2 guys. You know what I mean? So I was like, there's a lot of scenarios where the random number has a much higher damage ceiling. But the opposite exists, right? Where there was these big units, you used to be able to roll up a Helldrake and be like, bow, lose 10 guys, I was like, so it does balance back out to the medium, but it did suck. It does suck seeing like a big unit of guys and get the fuck out of here, man. This is the perfect balance between the random shots and what in our minds the weapon does. This is fucking dope.
Yeah. I'm going to make a little bit of a hot take statement. I think plasma weaponry and D3 shot weaponry that was before kind of like, meh, it's not as good as D3 shots, or they have like a 2-shot weapon or something like that. I think a lot of D3 shot weapons are going to make a big comeback.
Yeah.
If they get blast keyword, specifically plasma cannons.
Yeah. What's your loadout? Sorry, Rob. I didn't mean.
On the spicy dreadnought.
Yeah, there's a dreadnought loadout that you guys have fantasized about.
So me and Alan are like the ultra homies. We had this idea, and he crunched the numbers because I'm not good at math. He crunched the numbers, and he was like, "Turns out a relic contemptor dreadnought with 2 plasma cannons and a missile launcher, the math on its offensive power with rerolls is actually the same, if not better than a relic contemptor with 2 twin las cannons."
But it's cheaper.
And it's much cheaper by like 40 points. And when I went to LVO this year, I took 1 of each. And I know this is anecdotal evidence, but over my 6 games, the plasma contemptor put down way more reliable hurt than the las cannon.
In more situations.
And I think that now with blast, pretty sure plasma cannons are going to get blast. If they don't, I'll be very surprised, but I think they will. They have a much longer period of being at max number of shots than a D6 weapon does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they're only exactly.
Because at 11 plus, they're going to get max, and at 6 to 10, they're also going to get max because they only have D3, so 3 all the time. So they're in that sense more reliable than a D6 weapon like a las cannon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if D3 weapons that before were kind of like meh, if those weapons get blast, they're going to be real spicy.
Yeah, you know what? You sold me on this because at first I was like, look, I'm really stuck in my narrative. Like me and the guys, like historically, there's never not been templates for us. So only certain types of weapons utilize templates. So in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh, well, like there's tons of weapons that didn't use templates, therefore they're not going to be blast. Right. And like, but I'm like, that's not what fucking blast means. And the list is over 150 units, right? Or weapons. So like somebody in chat said autocannons. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely guarantee they're going to blast. Cause like, why wouldn't they just like rake across 30 orcs and do more damage? Like that's what they're doing, right? Like, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, basically like flat cannons and
I don't know.
Like, I'm actually I'm fingers crossed here. You know, knock on wood, that soul burner petards get blast.
Yeah, I'm starting to think
that sweet decimator action
with that list of weapons. I'm kind of thinking that like maybe what I have in my mind isn't quite what, you know, because I'm thinking of the templates. You know, I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see what the follow up to this is and what all gets this new spicy rule.
See, Bulldog's asking about Thunderfire cannons because they have 4D3, and so I think the way that this rule is worded, you'll have to go to Warhammer Community and like read the full. It's like 2 full paragraphs, but it's like it has to do with like when you roll for a number of shots, that's when this rule takes effect. So the way that Games Workshop treats things that where you roll multiple dice for things, each one of those counts as like an individual attack or like an individual roll. You then sum up. So I would venture that if a Thunderfire cannon has 4D3, then it also would function kind of like a plasma cannon, where each one of those dice you have to take that rule into effect. So if I target a unit that has 11 plus with my 4D3, you don't even have to roll. All 4D3 are going to show 3. And if there's 6 to 10, it's also going to show 3. And then when that unit goes to 5, then it becomes random again.
I think you're right, Wyatt.
Well, real quick, a lot of people were talking about flamers, and I forgot to mention that. Flamers, they were saying they didn't clarify if it was all flamers or vehicle-mounted flamers, but they can like shoot into engagement range. So we'll have to see if it's all flamers or just vehicle-mounted ones. But you know, flamers point-blank shooting, pretty cool.
So somebody in chat saying that Thunderfire cannon does nothing. Is there like a further explanation for that? Someone throw that up for me in chat. In the meantime, we'll push forward.
I'll open it up.
So Is it being interpreted is it being interpreted as like no matter what the maximum like is it based on the gun?
Well,
I mean that's actually
is,
interesting. If the gun does 46 shots, it's not 2 plasma cannons that do D3 shots. It's a single gun. If the rule is saying that it's max or 3.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So the example they use is a D6 grenade, which is probably not the best example. But what it says is with the blast roll targets a unit that has 6 or more models and you roll a 2 to determine how many attacks are made, that roll is counted as being 3, and that weapon makes 3 attacks against that unit. So why would that not apply to weapons that have multiple random dice? Because each one of those dice is an individual roll, and it's talking about an individual roll here.
So this is the whole, we probably need more sequencing for shooting, because also they're like, well, if you're still in that 1-inch engagement, you can't shoot at anything else if there's stuff still in that engagement. So we remember there was that whole thing about when you rotate ion shields, because it's like, when I say I target you, then do you, like, so, and it also
people are like, it doesn't say dice roll, it says roll. I mean, like, that's like Clinton trying to defend the definition of the
I agree
word.
with the chat 100%. I agree with the chat. Like, I think 100%, like, if weapon type is 4D3 blast and blast says minimum of 3 or max shots, like, if the weapon type is still 4D3 blast, so that means in that one scenario it'll be 3, but in the other scenario it's max the fuck out. So like it's not as optimized versus the 6 to 10.
So if you roll one dice, it's really cool. If you roll multiple dice, not as much.
Right, until it's an 11-man squad, and then it's pretty fucking serious.
Well, yeah.
Like, it's pretty fucking serious. I agree with that interpretation, because like, just as I saw the unit, like weapon type in bracket, George wrote it. I was like, nope.
This is why, it's confusing, because it's like they maybe should have used a more complex shooting system to explain if it's by each roll, because the way they make it sound is like when you roll a random dice, it's whatever that dice reads. Like,
and then George, he just came back and said, I just reread it and it seems like it's per dice.
Yeah. And see, so this is definitely going to be one of those things like.
So to summarize the argument, the sum of the dice total or of each individual?
Because it never says sum. It never says like SUM as like sum total. It just says like that dice will read, if it's a 1, 2, or 3, it will read as a 3 on this section. And then when it talks about the higher ones, you get max shots, so it doesn't matter. But on the lower one, that's where there's contention. So it's like, if they're giving you an example where it says like, whatever the roll is, it counts as this number, then that would lead me to believe that if you roll multiple dice, then it applies to each of those individual rolls, because that's how Games Workshop always does everything. Like if you have my gun that does 12 shots, like every one of those single dice rolls is an individual attack. Like that's how they do it.
You want me back? Next point.
Oh, that was all my notes.
What about Fabius Bile?
Oh, we can get into that now. So we were doing like, we were doing, they actually say Fabulous Bill in the article, which tickled me a little bit. So they're the followers, the creations of Bile, or followers. Creations of Bile. I'm going to call them Bile Boys, because I think
they were supposed to be agents. They changed it. Well, I don't know why.
They're Bile Boys. I like alliteration, and it sounds better. So this is basically like a whole new legion of Chaos Space Marines. They get a Legion keyword and a Legion trait, and their Legion trait is actually really cool. It's +1 movement, +1 strength for anything that can take a Legion trait.
Some enhanced warrior sounding bluff right there.
It's called experimental enhancements.
Oh, hey.
Let's see. So it says, in the lore, Bile is known for the terrible bargains he strikes. Those who seek to employ the skills of the Clone Lord have to pay a pretty penny for his services. And they have an asterisk. And down at the bottom, they say, you could call it his fabulous bill.
All right.
They show off a relic. It's a refund on a 5-up CP relic, one of those helmet. And they show off 2 stratagems, which have got me thinking about some stuff. So one of these is called Macro Tensile Sinews for 1 CP. And you can advance and charge. And you do at the start of your movement phase, a unit can advance and charge and +1 to advance and charge rolls. Really cool for a lot of Chaos Space Marine units, specifically possessed. So hype for that. And then they have another one, Monstrous Visages, for 1 CP. And you play this at the start of any phase, and it's for infantry, excluding cultists. And if they're within 6 inches, they're -1 to hit within 6 inches. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, new Death Guard stuff.
New Death Guard stuff. They talked about how, yeah, we got a lot. So Death Guard is getting plague companies, I believe is what they call them. So similar to how the Thousand Sons got the cults, right? That's what they were called. So now they have plague companies, which is like a new keyword. And the example they use is the first plague company, the Harbingers, which is Typhus's company. And so Harbingers is then the thing. So just like Alpha Legion is a thing or whatever. Like
so Legion keyword, it's in that bracket.
Yeah. I got to say, like, I was kind of looking forward to this because I am adding some Death Guard type stuff to my Chaos collection. And some of it is like, not totally worth bringing up. It's not very awe-inspiring or hype-driving. But there is one stratagem that is pretty cool, and it's for the Harbingers. So if you like playing Death Guard with tons of Poxwalkers, and Typhus is there, like, you know, doing a cheerleader dance to buff them up, they have From the Carrion Heaps. And this is a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-3 CP spending, right? You take a unit of Poxwalkers, and for 1 command point, it's 1 unit. For 3 command points, it's 2 units. And this is a new thing entirely. We haven't seen this before. It's kind of like a cross between deep striking and outflanking. So at the end of your movement phase, you can set up these units anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 9 inches of a battlefield edge, but more than 9 inches away from enemy models. And you can only use it once per battle. So
like Tide of Traders-esque teleport, but with the 9 inches of a board edge. But isn't the flavor text that they're buried in the earth? And
yeah, like they're buried under the ground, so they rise from the earth like zombies.
But wasn't it like one? Isn't it a 1-3? Like
that's what I said. So for one unit is 1, 2 units is 3. 1 for 1, 2 for 3.
But it's still one use, but it's still good.
Yeah. But, so yeah, you can do 1 or 2 units.
I love the flavor text. I'm sorry, that's just like my favorite shit.
Yeah.
It says they have like the little italic stuff that nobody ever reads, and it says one should always burn the bodies of the plague slain, lest they rise again to assail those still living.
Ah, yes. Yes. And perhaps the spiciest, there's a stratagem and there's a new character buffer.
Yes. So I think this is like army wide. Let me make sure. So this is a relic, and it says Death Guard. Does not say. Yeah. So this is like Death Guard wide, and it's called the Demon.
Yeah, it's not linked to any of these new play companies.
Everybody can take this. It's the Demon's Toll, which is a bell of some sort, and it's for the Noxious Blightbringer, which we probably haven't seen.
And it's for pretty much just Plague Marines. It's infantry keyword, except cultists.
Yeah, models says Noxious Blightbringer only. Models in friendly Death Guard units, excluding cultists and Poxwalkers, have a 5-up invul save whilst their unit is within 7 inches of a model from your army with this relic. So
kind of a big deal.
Everything. Yeah, everything but cultists and Poxwalkers.
Kind of a big deal to have Plague Marines, because that's honestly what it means. Like, it doesn't mean much besides that. Plague Marines with a 5-up, 5-up.
Did they ever sell this guy individually, Rob? Or
no,
is
he's only in Dark Imperium.
Yeah, I was like, nobody's mentioned this guy since Dark Imperium released because he was so bad and worthless. And now all of a sudden he's like one of the best buff characters to bring for Death Guard.
Yo, 5-up, 5-up is like a 3-up invulnerable for your Plague Marines. That's a huge deal. Like,
I mean, not even play. I mean, like now your vehicle is.
Well, I mean, most of their vehicles, the vehicles people took already had 5-up, 5-up.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's really Plague Marines. Like Terminators already had 4-up, 5-up. Like it's basically just Plague Marines.
Yeah, pretty cool little relic.
Yeah. And a new stratagem.
They had a couple of new stratagems that were army wide. Trench fighters for 1 CP use this on the fight phase with Plague Marines until the end of the phase when a model in that unit fights. If it is equipped with 1 or more Plague Knives, it can make 1 additional attack.
Dope.
They also have that, I forget what it's called, but they have a buff for plague weapons where it does mortal wounds on like 7. And then you get like the +1 to wound. So 6s then do.
Yeah, blades, the psychic power, and vegetable long war +1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a demon battalion, maybe virulent blessing for another +1. Like there's a couple ways. You can get to +3 pretty easy.
Yeah. And then they have overwhelming generosity for 1 CP. Death Guard unit, not cultists, not poxwalkers, chosen to shoot with until the end of that phase, add 6 inches to the range of plague weapons, excluding melee weapons.
Strong.
Models in that unit are equipped with.
So blight grenades seem like those are plague weapons. So a very popular unit is the clown car attack, where you have you have grenade guy and death guard guys and a rhino. They scoot up the battlefield and they all toss D6 blight grenades and use some of those previous manipulation rules we talked about. And I've seen that shit just take out a Night Titan. Like it's just like blah, blight, you know?
Yeah.
And if they're blast now, and GW,
because I mean they're grenades. So while you're talking, I'll actually look up blight grenades
for sure. Thank you. But what's cool is the GW's hinted at doing all this stuff to help assault people. And Wyatt's prediction, right? Wyatt is like 3rd edition plus, like 3rd edition, the Rhino Rush era, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can move up, get out, charge. So, and then we live in the era that scarred us as a civilization that we can't do that anymore, which I don't think it's going back to that. What I think it is move, get out.
Right. So
I think positioning is going to be way more strong.
Blight grenades are a plague weapon, and they're 6 inches. I thought they were 8, but they're 6 inches. And that was the issue, right? Is that like you would do this thing where they would come up using the Terax drill or like hop out of a vehicle or something like that. You wouldn't be in range to throw a grenade at all. So you'd have to sit there for a turn and get blasted and hope you had enough to survive to do this thing. But now they have a 12-inch range with the stratagem on those grenades, so you can do a lot more cool stuff with the... It's
a game changer. If you've never been on the receiving end or played with that clown car strategy, this is what will wipe a unit off the fucking table. Like, but it is very combo centric, and who's to know what those if they're going to still exist and how much CP it takes to unlock all this. But as it stands right now, that's really fucking strong.
Really cool. I mean,
Sisters and Flamers.
I got a whole bunch of...
I do believe in my heart. I believe in my heart transport's going to let you just move and get out. You're not going to be able to assault, though, unless some special caveat, because that is...
Assault ramps.
You know what I'm
saying? I'd be fine with that if everybody got that ability, too, because like that's one of the reasons that nobody wants to take transports, other than like a wave serpent.
A transport is literally supposed to be like a way to reposition your units, rapid redeployment, right? Like, and we got in the history of the reason that they suck and they're so dumb and like a shell game of maneuvering is because in 3rd edition, if you weren't here with us in 3rd edition, and I joked about it did scar the community. It was basically one way to play. It was either Rhino Rush, insert what type of guys were in the Rhino, or Raider Rush, insert which kind of Dark Eldar were in the Raider, Speed Freak, Truck Rush. That was 99% of the games. And then vehicle trial assault rules came out, which was a beta between 3rd and 4th, and they were referred to as death coffins basically in that whole 4th edition mindset because they were unplayable. Then they started walking them back in 5th edition, and they've always been like all these dumb caveats. We used to buy them so we can move units fast, and that kind of went away. And I think that's coming back.
Yeah. So George brings up a good point. He's like, so the question is, do you want to take 20-man units of Plague Marines knowing that Blast will fuck you up? Well, see, I think Blast is also a reason to incentivize transports because you can hide those units in the transport so Blast weapons won't do as many shots or whatever. They won't get that rule buff against a single target like a Rhino or a Land Raider or what have you. So I think that's just another reason, especially for horde troops like guardsmen and orcs, like having trucks and chimeras and Tauroxes that's going to be incentivized heavily by this new thing. Because the people who are going to get hurt most by blast are like Tyranids and Guard and Orcs and maybe Tau, but not really.
Yep.
Maybe. I could see Tau doing better.
Yeah, you also have Cloud of Flies too, which is like even better.
Oh, yeah.
Just being able to move up the table and not get shot at. Lots of little ways to make this trick work, and I want 9th edition to be here already.
I know. We're in that weird purgatory of like nobody gives a shit about 8th anymore because the new stuff is on the way, and we can't play the new stuff because it's not here. Oh yeah, I was going to bring this up. So I was listening to Gentleman Gaming. Shout out to Brad Chester and PJ. And they brought up a really cool preparation thing that I would never have thought of, but is a really good idea. So since we are in this purgatory of just like painting stuff to grow our collections or get stuff ready for the new edition and not much else to do, if you still can't go to your game store and play 40K, and we're all waiting for these points changes and like, what are we going to run? All this kind of stuff. So he brought up inventory your collection, like all the stuff you have, all the stuff you're preparing, make a spreadsheet, and then write everything down, and then make a column of what their current point costs are. So everything's point cost as it sits right now. And then have a second column ready to go. And when the new book comes out with all the new points and everything, write all the new points in there, and then compare what stuff has gone up, what has gone down, maybe what has remained unchanged, and then factor in all of the new rules dynamics for the things that may have changed. So like if intercessors have gone up in points, like they said they were going to, think about how terrain is going to work, think about the new rules dynamics we're going to have in 9th, and then find out what is going to be like your best picks post points changes. So that way, instead of waiting for somebody to do all of that work, maybe like a week to 2 weeks after 9th edition comes out, you'll be ahead of the curve because you can just do it all yourself in like 10 minutes. And then you can start like theory crafting all your new lists, and you'll be like more prepared. And so I was like, I would never have thought of that, but I'm going to do it now.
Did you read George's comment?
Yeah.
The third column.
And it's kind of like, so when Grey Knights got their boost in Psychic Awakening, I actually went and put all my Grey Knights like through all the different areas I had them scattered on the table so that I could see the entirety of my collection at once. And I had 7 Dread Knights. Spoiler alert, you really can't field 7 Dread Knights.
For now.
So
Yeah,
why did I have 7? Because somewhere along the line, I was like, dude, I need another Dread Knight, not realizing I already had one.
I've done that before.
Yeah. So
I've bought boxes of models because I was like, I don't have any of these. And then like a week later, I open my closet and there's like a sprue of that same thing that I just bought. Fuck.
True story.
In case I need it, I saved it. Oh, crap.
True story. Locally, there was a guy who needed to get some Scout Marines on bikes and went to the local store, and they only had one box, and they called me. And I said, I got 3 boxes. Put me down for store credit, and I'll sell it to the guy. That is a true story. That happened.
Nice. I mean, I've seen a picture of your Grey Knight. That's an uncomfortable amount of Grey Knights on one.
That is a lot of Grey Knights. It is a lot. I don't know exactly how much it is because of the, but at ballpark, it's at least like 10,000 points.
Damn.
Yeah. Not counting war gear. So it's like, ooh. And that's not even my biggest army. My Space Wolves and my Necrons are way bigger.
Laugh cry.
Classic Mike. Basically, game stores worth of stuff at his house.
Haspil, take us out of here.
Look, we've been looking for this place for months. My men were on that chopper when it got hit. Hopper's orders were to go in there and get my men, and he disappeared.